We get it. This interruption isn't what you actually want to be listening to right now. But at Credit Karma, we've learned that a little disruption can be a good thing, especially when it comes to the slow, outdated, and totally complicated financial system. We started shaking things up by offering free access to your credit scores. Then we expanded into more areas of personal finance. And now we've added new tools and personalized features to make it easier to optimize your money and grow it faster. Download Intuit Credit Karma today and get everything you need to outsmart the system.
Wade,
Trump?
I hear Kelson finally dumped you.
Not exactly, no. We just came to a mutual understanding that she couldn't bear me for another second, that's all.
So who's the new chief counsel? If she's any good, I'm going to steal her away.
I doubt it. She seems quite loyal to me.
Let me be the judge of that.
Hello and welcome to Unequal Sequel. My name is Dave and I'm one of the two hosts of this sick podcast.
And I'm Rich, and I'm the other host of this sick podcast. Think of me as Cheech to Dave's Chong, because we're both very chilled out dudes. Read what you like into that one.
The premise of Unequal Sequel is very simple. We ask our guests their best ever sequel, worst ever sequel, and finally their dream sequel.
And of course, we quite often drift off and talk about other things. Sometimes movies, sometimes life in general.
And of course, we like to drop big fat spoilers to films you may have not watched, and this is by accident. So if we mention a film you haven't seen and you don't want it spoiled, skip ahead or, go do your big shop. It's overdue. The fridge is empty. Get out there and do it. Because on today's episode, we are joined by Heidi Regan.
Heidi is a brilliant stand-up comedian, and you'll be able to catch her shows all across the UK. She was the BBC New Comedy Award winner in 2017. That's pretty impressive to be able to do that, because a lot of big comedians have won that. So yeah, make sure you check that out. Check out her podcast, which is There Will Be Film. You can find that in all good podcasty places.
Yeah, and we're very excited to sit down with Heidi and chat all things sequels with her.
These are Heidi Regan's Unequal Sequels. Enjoy.
What is the first single? I've done it again.
Dave, we've only been doing this 3 years.
Yeah. What is the first sequel you remember seeing?
Oh boy. It might be the one I've chosen, and that might immediately explain why I think it's my pick for best sequel. So should I pick a different one?
Yeah, if you could pick another one.
Another one. The first one that I can think of that comes to mind is the Terminator 2, and that's one of those ones where I hadn't seen Terminator 1. So yeah. I came into it going, this stands alone brilliantly. And then I saw Terminator 1 and went, they didn't need to make that prequel.
Oh, wow, okay. So what year was that? 92? Terminator 2 came out, wasn't it? Did you see it when you were really young, when you shouldn't have seen it, probably? I
think I didn't see it until it was like on, I saw it a few years later on DVD or whatever.
Was it on TV when it was heavily cut?
Probably TV, yeah.
Yeah, probably TV.
Yeah.
I think Terminator 2... loads of people saw that first, because Terminator wasn't a big movie, was it? It was kind of a bit of a schlocky B movie, and then Terminator 2 came out and everyone was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, and I wonder how many sequels have done that thing of changing the villain into the hero so well and so surprisingly.
Most of the Marvels.
Although I didn't know that he was meant to be a villain, because I hadn't seen number one, so...
Every Fast and Furious sequel.
Yeah.
They definitely stole that from Terminator 2.
Yeah. Oh man, I have to... Fast and Furious is my biggest film hole.
Oh, really?
I say. I don't count Scorsese.
No, or does he, to be honest? I don't think he counts Fast and Furious either, all the Marvels at that point. So when you first saw Terminator 2, was that a family thing, or was it you just watched it with friends, or? I
would guess it would have been a family thing. I don't, it's like not a strong memory where I was or anything, but I'm guessing we were very much into films, and my dad and brother really influenced my film. Like, I loved, me and my brother just used to watch loads of karate films and American Ninja and things like that. So I watched a lot of action with my brother and my dad. So I'm guessing I watched Terminator 2.
Was he like every man of that generation, just obsessed with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Well, as in
your dad or
my
brother?
My dad is obsessed with James Bond.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We could talk about that.
He won one year. He bought the collection of James Bond DVDs box set, and he was like, "This is expensive, and I've bought it. So every Father's Day or birthday, when you don't know what to get me, give me like $20, and I'll unwrap one and get to watch it." And he didn't open them unless we bought him one.
Wow.
But when we were like, well, that's not a very imaginative present. So I don't know how long he waited until he just gave up.
I'd say, is he still waiting to
I'll
watch?
my favourite films now.
Wow. So is it?
I mean, that is a way to get something you actually want, though, right? Rather than something your kids made out of plasticine, you're like, thank you.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking it was him being super considerate to us, going like, "Don't worry about giving me a present." Like, but now that I think about, my dad, who is the sweetest man on earth, is terrible at receiving surprise gifts. So he probably was just like, "I don't want any more surprises. I want James Bond every year."
I've got it planned for the next 10 years. You don't have to buy me a gift. It's
Yeah. Probably learnt from James Bond. You got to have a plan. So.
Absolutely.
Does that make you a big James Bond fan if he was a big James Bond fan?
No, it makes me very not. I mean, I don't mean to do that to that. I just don't like gun action films.
Oh.
Like I love all the Marvel films, but I got bored by all the Captain America ones for a long time because it was too much guns.
Right.
James Bond it just feels so samey and predictable to me.
Oh, yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. I can definitely leave every James Bond movie.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe Skyfall, but that's basically because it's Home Alone for like half of it.
I think Casino Royale impressed me, but I think I liked that because it felt like he had some emotion in it, and then as soon as he went out again. How do you feel about the Mission Impossible films?
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
Dave loves them. I for a long time didn't watch them because I watched the first one when I was a teenager and I didn't like it, and so I avoided them all. And then we did like a one for the podcast. Didn't we
did a ranking,
watch them all, and I was like, what did I hate? I don't know. I don't like apart from 2, which I find very weird.
Is that the Aussie one?
That is the Aussie one.
Yeah, it's
a lot of people hate it.
John Woo. Lots of hair flicking in slow motion kind of one.
Yeah. I think I bowed out after that one, and then the film podcast I'm on, they were like, we have to review the latest Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
So
did you go back?
it without having watched any. They said you don't need to watch the others. And
they were wrong. Yeah. Three's good. 4's good.
I mean,
5's
3 is
good.
worth watching just for Philip Seymour Hoffman. He makes that movie, and
what's their running time like? Because I think I was. Is this latest one another like 3-hour type?
The latest part, Dead Dawn, Dead Reckoning, Dead Dawn, whatever it's called. That's a long one, but I don't think the other ones are massively long.
Okay, yeah.
But they're good.
No, thank you.
How do you feel
Nothing over 3 hours. Oh. Nothing over 2 hours, to be honest.
Me too. How do you feel about the John Wicks then? Have you stayed away from them if you hate shooties?
I had, and again, I think just because of I watched number 1.
Yep.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's a like fun premise, but it is still I just zone out as soon as it's like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And but I know people love it. I want to get into Fast and the Furious because my friends quote so many and they make it sound very amusing.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It really is. The trajectory that they go on as characters, where they start off stealing DVD players and they end up as like super CIA agents somehow. It's wild.
I think I've seen maybe Hobbs and Shaw. I've seen something where they're in like the Arctic or some kind of snow.
That's number 8.
8, yeah.
Okay, I've seen number 8.
That's when they still
are really stuck with me.
They're still a submarine, and you think, how did we get here?
Yeah. And do they have they have a lot of I think I saw one where there was some ridiculous like gravity defying stuff,
You're
and it
gonna
made me
have to-
think of how I like
I mean, that could
backed
be
out
all
of The
them.
Hobbit because of the gravity defying. I was just like, you've betrayed my trust by having dwarves jumping like the barrel chase down the river, the lack of gravity in that. I was like, I can believe in talking, trees, but I will not believe that a dwarf could have jumped over a barrel like that.
Which is probably true. What kind of films do you like then? If you don't like the shooties, where's your safe space?
Well, I love comedies, as in my top 5 films are always all the comedies.
Right.
But then also the Lord of the Rings trilogy, heavy in my life. I would have picked Two Towers if it hadn't been
We can talk
already
about
chosen by
we
Alex
could
Keeley
definitely-
just last week.
it. Yeah, pretty much.
We could definitely talk about it though.
Is that the most
Yeah.
excited you've ever been for a sequel then?
Oh, yeah. And the going to see it at Christmas and all that stuff was, me and my brother were like insane Lord of the Rings fans.
Okay.
And then, and when it came out, we'd just gone on when they were filming it, we were on a family holiday to New Zealand, and we went into Queenstown or something, and when we arrived, everyone was going, they were just filming Lord of the Rings here, a scene on it was like the fjord scene with the Black Riders, and me and my brother were going, no, this is crazy. So yeah,
amazing.
big fan.
How
Yeah.
do you feel about, is Two Towers your favourite of the 3?
It probably, if I watched them all, it probably would be, but like the Fellowship is the one I know like word for word and have seen a million times. But I would like to go back and do more. I recently rewatched Fellowship with Sunil Patel and Eddie Hare, and I think Sunil hadn't seen it since it first come out, and so me and Eddie, every single shot we'd be like, that's the director's cut, that's the extended edition, and it meant he paused every time I said anything, so it took us about 5 hours,
wow.
literally 5 hours, but I was like still spellbound the whole time, and I was like, where'd the time go, guys? But it means he has refused to watch number 2 or 3 with me yet.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I think maybe Two Towers, and I love Return of the King, but I just don't know it as well, I think.
Do you count them as one big film, really?
I think so. One big, 12-hour session. But yeah. How about you guys? Are you...
Oh, Two Towers all the way for me. And I think for you as well, Dave.
I'm obsessed with Two Towers, yeah. I think it's the greatest one. Just because of Helm's Deep. Like when I first saw that in cinema, I hadn't seen anything like it. The sheer scale and the sounds and the music and, Legolas and Gimli and all being cool.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is amazing. I've like pig and shit for that day.
Yeah.
And like you, I followed Peter Jackson's career quite a lot when I was much younger. I somehow ended up watching all his Brain Deads and Bad Taste and even Meet the Feebles stuff when I really shouldn't have done. So when they said he was doing Lord of the Rings, I was like, how did that guy do that? Like doing this. So I followed the whole journey to the screen. So I was really invested into it. So I saw it twice in like 10 hours, Two Towers. I saw it 12 o'clock at night, and then I saw it again at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God. Yeah, we went several times at the cinema, but I think I can't think of anyone who's ever had so much pressure on a film and such a promotion with so much pressure in a film and then risen to the challenge so amazingly. It's insane what he delivered.
But then he should have had that pressure for the Hobbits.
Yeah. I don't like to, be negative about someone who I think is one of the best filmmakers and achieved my favorite thing of all time.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like they said he was made to make them into 3 rather than have them as just 1 or 2.
I think there was a lot that wasn't quite what he wanted, and I think it shows, doesn't it? He doesn't have quite the control that he did with Lord of the Rings. Definitely didn't have the time. I think that was the other thing. The Hobbits were really rushed.
Well, he wasn't going to make him, was he? Del Toro was going to make him for ages.
Guillermo del Toro was going to make it, wasn't he?
They were so... I don't even remember if I saw the final one because they just felt so... just blended into each other. And I feel bad saying it because, he's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
I'm going to blame the studios. And now they're doing I only just found out that is Andy Serkis directing the
Andy
Gollum?
Serkis is doing a new one, The Hunt for Gollum. Peter Jackson is producing it, so it is going to be the wetter world and all that, and filmed hopefully down in New Zealand. But but that's apparently going to come out. Is it next year or the year after? So even that's a bit rushed to me for a Lord of the Rings film, because everything, like all the costumes, the sets, the landscapes, the set, it's just top notch. I don't want to ruin it again.
What is this one based on? There's not a book to base it on.
Do you know there's a bit when Gandalf says we searched for Gollum in the Fellowship, and we couldn't find him or whatever? I believe it's around that.
Oh,
so the one throwaway line from the Fellowship.
We had a lot of source material.
In the book, doesn't he? When he finds out Frodo's got the ring, he says, "Keep it safe, keep it hidden." And when he disappears, that in the book is a lot longer than it is in the film. So there's a lot of Gandalf adventures of him trying to find out.
Yeah.
I think, but they're going to have Aragorn's going to be in it, so I'm not quite sure if Viggo's going to come back.
Oh wow!
So.
I think they'll get a younger man.
Never has an announcement got me so excited for a film and yet so worried at the same point. So
yeah,
I think we'll see.
I just remembered that we watched The Two Towers with the sound muted at Sunil's house at New Year's Eve after we'd watched number one, but like we were playing, it was New Year's Eve, so it was a party, so it was just on in the background, and we were like, I have a very funny video of the music match, like techno music match, and us all going wild that it matched up. But it just reminded me that every 5 minutes, every time Aragorn was on shot, we'd just point it at me and Eddie and go, oh, Viggo broke his foot in this shot, but we did it for every single scene until Sunil was like, can you shut up, please?
Were you, for New Year's, trying to align it so when Gandalf comes over the hill at the end and New Year's at the same point would align?
We should have thought that well, but I'll be honest, everything seemed to match. If you will it, it all matches.
Lord of the Rings is great.
Yeah.
Heidi, what is your best ever sequel?
Okay, so I believe that I did give the caveat that technically the best ever is Two Towers, which we have covered.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so then the one that came to mind, other than all the obvious ones, I just thought I would talk about Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze.
Lovely.
I like this pick.
Have you both seen it?
I watched it about 3 or 4 days ago. I hadn't seen it before, but I hadn't seen it for a long time. And then I'd spoken to Dave, and Dave was like, I'm not sure if it stands up. And I watched it, and I was like, I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. I haven't watched it for a while, so you will definitely remember, you'll know a lot more than I do. I may be embarrassed how much it doesn't stand up. That's the vibe I'm getting from Dave's face right now.
Oh, well, I've watched it earlier in the year because I did Turtles 1 and 2 just for my own pleasure. And I really enjoyed the first one. And then I went and saw the second one. I was like, oh, that one does not stand up. And then I watched it again this morning because Rich was like, oh, I quite enjoyed that. I was like, I must have been missing something then. And to be fair, the first half is okay. It's I think it's when they get to the more of the monster creature designs of the snapping turtle and the wolf, and then the Vanilla Ice dance off.
That's what makes the film is the Vanilla Ice.
I like that. I like that bit.
That as I have friends who still will just come up to me and go, ninja, rap.
They're not wrong. He is there.
Brilliant.
I do wonder, did he see the turtles and then just did the rap off the top of his head in the film, or was he?
It looked like he was freestyling it to me.
Really? I would have guessed he was handed the lyrics and the music.
I think in real life he probably was, but in the story it looked like he was just...
Oh, I see, in the story you mean. Yeah.
So I think we're going to have to turn back time a little bit here, Heidi. How and why did this become so important to you?
I think that, as I said, me and my brother watched a lot of ninja films in general.
Right.
And I don't know what it was like here, but the Ninja Turtles were like
massive,
beloved in Australia. So I loved the Ninja Turtles, and my memory is that I don't know if your rule is that the sequel has to be better than the original.
We have no rules.
Not necessarily, no.
I think, like, critically, number one is a better film, but number 2 for a child, I think they just did such great set pieces, like the opening scene of them fighting in a shopping center and using all the stuff as weapons, yo-yos and that.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is genius. I want to live in a shopping center and fight with ninjas. So I think the big memory for me was like that and Vanilla Ice and that, but just that it was a very fun, very big set pieces, and it had I mean, obviously as an adult I'm sure it doesn't hold up, but as a kid's film,
it's wonderful.
I think they picked the fun, like, because number 1 in my memory, that's quite dark, and which is like great for adults, but I don't think that it suited kids as much as number 2 did.
2's definitely lighter. It's definitely more for kids. But I gotta be honest, I thought it was loads of fun. I went into it because David said, it doesn't really stand up. And I was going into it expecting it to be really bad. And then about half an hour in, I'm like, I really enjoyed this. I'm having a good time.
When I chose it, I did not clock until this moment that you would have to watch these movies.
Oh, yeah.
We're committed.
Sorry. Yeah. And this is why you were like, have you picked your movies so you didn't have to watch them in the morning?
Don't be sorry. It's all good. Sometimes people have picked a worst movie, we've watched it, and then they've changed their mind so that we've watched a terrible movie for no reason.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm also thinking of what I picked as worst movie, and I'm pretty sure I chose a genre. So I hope you watched the entire genre.
I don't think so. It's all right. Nick Helm made us watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 at 6:30 in the morning when we recorded with him.
Oh, my God.
I
never want to see that film. Yeah.
It's good. I enjoyed that one.
Didn't Ninja Turtles 2 also have like an existential thread to it of them finding out that they were a mistake and then being like, there wasn't a higher purpose? I think that's actually quite beautiful when you think about that.
It's this deep. It's not very deep, but it's deep.
Is it? Yes.
I mean, how old were you when you first watched it? It's just so
first watch it, I would have been like...
Because I watched the first one when I was 5, and I remember going to see that with my auntie and uncle at a cinema.
I think I saw it at like 7 or something when Ninja Turtles
This would be the shit at 7 then. Yeah. This would have been all of you thought about and talked about in school.
Oh, me and my best friend Stephen Yap would just sit in class drawing Ninja Turtles obsessively. And we even had like a stand at the school fair that was just Ninja Turtles.
This is epic.
People could throw ninja stars at them. So it might be that I have a bias in what I consider to be a brilliant film.
No, this is what we love, because also we've had Jamie East on this podcast, and he picked a very bad sequel as his best, which is Jaws 3, which we'll probably go on to soon. And he says it's not because it's the memory of when he first saw it. He saw it in like a sold out cinema somewhere in southeast London, I think. He had a great time watching it, and the 3D glasses and stuff, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
So what we love is these people that bring the memories, and why film is meant to be personal, isn't it? So
yeah. Well, and I think it also, I remember number 3 being so disappointing. And then I tried when they announced that like they were remaking them with like Michael Bay and all that. Was it he was the one that did the first remake?
He produced them,
and when you just compare the Jim Henson puppets to that, I was like, I don't want to be one of those nerds on the internet saying you ruined a thing, but I feel like they ruined a thing and I'm a nerd on the internet.
I do think the animatronics in the first 2 are really good, and that is Jim Henson. By the third one, that wasn't Jim Henson. Someone else took over that. And it's interesting you were saying earlier about the difference between 1 and 2 being the first one being darker. That's because the studio came back and were like, we need to make it lighter. And they got rid of the Casey Jones character, the vigilante.
Yes.
And they replaced him with the teenage kicking karate boy, Kano.
Yeah.
Ernie Reyes,
to make it more fun. And
I quite like him.
Yeah. I remember him having
good moves.
he has good moves. I think he had a very high pitched voice in my memory or something.
I think you're correct.
That might be
we gotta help the guys. Yeah.
Also, but I think that was again a good decision when I remember how Casey Jones and April were in number 1.
Yeah,
they were very sexual.
Yeah.
It's a new April in this one as well, isn't it?
It is,
2 and 3 is a different April. Yeah.
Yeah, first April was like It was very sexual, and I remember being very like, it's like a hot New York summer, and her and Casey like stripping off and floating. I'm like, I'm sorry, we're here for some very asexual turtles. Why are little kids being introduced to this? Yeah. People in their 30s that really just want to fuck.
I mean, yeah, because these are teenage turtles. They're not adults. They're still having fun, and those two in the corner just going at it in the first one.
It was very fun having. I remember, like, Casey Jones had the hockey stick and all that kind of stuff. The mask was
cool.
Yeah,
but why didn't they? The creatures. I can't. Was Rocksteady and Bebop, were they a cartoon thing and not not a film thing?
They weren't in the films, no.
They were in the cartoons, yeah. They were like really goofy and spoke in the cartoons.
Yeah, because I think that's where the animatronics are really good on the turtles on this, but when you get to the creatures, especially the wolf thing, which I only found out was a wolf at the end.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because I think Jim Henson died while they were making this, didn't he?
It has an in memory.
Because of this,
it's an in memory. Yeah. Jim Henson. It's the first thing you see after that.
So maybe that kind of, didn't quite. They are a bit goofy looking. But
that might be by design for the kids friendly thing.
True.
So Bebop and Rocksteady might have been his final creation.
Maybe
it might have been.
Did they have them be like pallbearers at the funeral?
That would be amazing.
Just going. Rah!
Oh my god! I've just found out Kevin Nash is Super Shredder.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Who was? Oh, I remember that now. Our issue with that always was I could have remembered this wrong, but he took like the ooze or whatever, and that made him super. But somehow the super ooze gave him extra blades on his
costume. Also got super. Somehow.
Yeah, terrible science. Otherwise impeccable science in this film, but that was the one bit. Yeah,
I think the whole design of Shredder is, if they do it again, they would change that because the man can't move in any of the costumes.
Yeah,
he's so locked in. He's meant to be this freewheeling martial arts expert. And I think he's dubbed through the whole.
Also, and the whole concept of the Shredder and the foot is that they don't use guns.
Yes,
in
so you'll be happy.
A gun-heavy city and country, so it doesn't stand up to logic in several ways. But number 2 had more. It just had all the banging Ninja Turtle stuff, like them hiding in ninja ways, didn't it? And
they hid out April's house for most of it in her flat.
They do hang out in their flat, don't they? But then they find a new like base in the sewers, don't they?
I wanted to live there so bad when I was younger.
Yeah.
The sewers look so nice.
Yeah. The sewer look lovely.
Doesn't that look cool?
Yeah. Have you guys watched the new one, the Seth Rogen produced?
Yeah, Mutant Mayhem. My son really liked it. So much so I had to buy him loads of Ninja Turtle figures after we watched it.
Yeah, has it made Ninja Turtles
cool,
fairly popular again?
I think so. Okay. Yeah, it's certainly so.
Nothing like the original.
Not as crazy as the original. No, I don't think things get as crazy anymore because kids have got so much media that there's not that kind of back in 91 when this came out, it was like cinema and 3 channels or 4 channels. There wasn't kind of all the stuff like YouTube and stuff they have now. Like,
I lost my mind when I opened that on Christmas Day, the toys.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah. I've still got a toy upstairs that I found somewhere. I can't remember where. So it's on our bookcase. It was my wife's like, can we keep the bookcase clear? And I went,
no.
1 Ninja Turtle and 1 Asterix and Obelix. That's my entire decoration of the house.
I'm a little bit obsessed with Asterix and Obelix as well, so it basically taught me to read Asterix and Obelix.
Yeah.
Apparently at school, this is what my mum tells me, I wouldn't pick up any other books, and then I would just start reading Asterix and Obelix, and my teacher was like, threw out my syllabus pretty much and was like, go with it. He's reading.
Just read it.
Oh, that's a brilliant trick you played.
I don't know. So I'm always obsessed with Asterix and Obelix.
Yeah. Right. And I was like, I refuse to do PE unless it's ninja skills.
Oh my God.
And in fact, actually, that was a joke, but my brother and the boy across the road would make, we were obsessed with ninjas. And so we had quarterstaffs we'd fight with, but they also made, they got sheet metal and cut like with a bandsaw or whatever you used to cut it, like ninja stars, and we would stand. I would have been like 9, 10, and we would stand in the backyard flinging these ninja stars at a tree, and they would go like deep into the wood of the tree, but there was like houses behind us, so if we missed the tree, these like deadly ninja stars just were flying into their backyard. And they
weapons.
made they were, and Mum and Dad let us do it, and we had a blowpipe, which was a nail with a little bit of paper, a cone of paper around it, and we would just go doof and at all the trees. Kids today don't know what they're missing, you know.
That is brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, because I think with Ninja Turtles, all the like conservative press, I'm sure they were like, "Oh, this is teaching children violence," and we're like, "No," but we were very violent from it.
Because in the UK, they had to be changed to Hero Turtles. They weren't allowed to be called Ninja Turtles.
That is wild. That is so sad.
Odd.
Yeah. As long as they don't know they're ninjas in the title, they won't want to emulate them.
I always called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, change it to Hero Turtles over
Really?
here. I just love the idea that you've got a neighbour from when you were kids who's now got like an eye patch. They're like, so how'd you get the eye patch? He's like, well...
No idea where it came from.
No idea what happened, but a ninja star.
We did.
Which one was your favourite turtle? Did you have a favourite one?
Oh, thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
Depends if you're talking cartoon or film. Depends which film. But I'm going to say overall, usually it's a toss-up between Raphael and Michelangelo. And the older I got, the more I went for Michelangelo. Because I was like, Raphael, I didn't appreciate the moodiness. I was like, you're in a team, grow up.
Teenager though, right?
Yeah, but as I hit teenager, I was like, you know what, I'm already more mature than Raphael's being going out to kick all his problems away. Whereas Michelangelo, he's always trying to diffuse the situation with comedy, and I was like,
he's a cool guy.
I relate to this guy.
He likes pizza. I related hard with that when I was younger.
Who were your favourites?
I'm going to say Raphael as well.
Donatello all the way for me.
Oh, nerd.
I'm so glad none of you said Leonardo. That
Big
would have just been
nerd.
so depressing. Donatello in all of the
I think so.
genres.
Yeah, I always liked Donnie. Yeah.
Is it because he was smart, rich, and he wore glasses?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. No, he just made stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, he had such a nerd voice in the cartoon.
Yeah,
it was just,
it
was a bit too much.
He was the nerd.
That's all I'm going to say.
Leonardo was the buttlicker kind of guy, goody-goody two-shoes.
You remember the lyrics to the opening song.
Raphael was the angry one, who was
cool but rude.
He was cool.
Yeah.
And Michelangelo was the funny one.
No.
Something like that.
Yeah. He's a party guy.
Yeah.
He's a party dude,
the word. Yeah.
And then there was Splinter. So
yeah. I remember researching them for another podcast a few years ago and looking up, like, I think it was saying, like, whether their different characters aligned with, like, something like the human, like, phlegm and all. You know how there's, like, different characters aligned to the different, what's it called? Like, a body is made, it's like phlegm and blood, and I'm getting this very wrong.
Oh, right, okay.
The humours.
Oh, right, yeah, I see, yeah.
There was something about them all lining up with different... I mean, they're just classic comedy characters, aren't they? But yeah. I tried to go deep on it, and that was harder than I thought, basically.
Let's talk about the colour of their masks. Why do they pick those colours?
They're crazy!
Yeah, right? Did all the voices come back from the first film? Was it Corey Feldman was in the first one? Did he do the second one as...
No, I don't... I don't think so. I think the voices were all different, weren't they?
Yeah, they pretty much changed everything. I'm just working out in this film compared to the first one. David Warner in it was a weird choice, who I always think about being in Titanic.
Yeah.
Which one's David Warner?
David Warner praise the Professor Jordan Perry, who's like the guy who invents the ooze, who thinks going to be a baddie, but then doesn't really turn out to be the baddie. And
Yeah. Who was he in Titanic? Oh, he was the evil
butler
guy. Yeah. Well, lucky he did survive the shipwreck. He was able to create the turtles that we know and love.
I like that. I think there's a few jokes in the new Turtles, as in the Seth Rogen one, that are from this film. Like the way they say ooze. And I think the base where the ooze is created is slightly, the cartoon looks very similar. At one point I thought they were going to try and milk him again. But I don't know.
I think Seth Rogen is living a great life that he can literally recreate the joy from his childhood.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, it's great.
Although, do you think it would actually take away the joy if you had to put all your work pressure on it?
He smokes a lot.
That's a good point.
He is happy. He's a happy man, yeah.
He smokes a lot. I was really respect was Splinter, though. I think out of all the things in this, the way he animatronics, is that the word? I thought
Yeah.
Do you?
Except he couldn't move much.
Well, no. he could move more than Shredder, and Shredder was a person.
Yeah, because the fight with Shredder was very basic, wasn't it, at the end?
Heidi, I know you've watched this when you were 7 and you thought the martial arts were incredible. I'm just going to let you know now, the martial arts are all pretty basic in this film.
No, the puppet Splinter didn't do as good a job as I remember.
I don't think any of them did as good as... But
did Shredder even fight at the end, or did he just bring down the... Did he just throw them a bit?
Shredder... The ending is weird because he comes Super Shredder, and then they're underneath a bar by the docks or something, and he's smashing all the pillars himself that fall down on him pretty much at the end. Rich, is this right?
Yeah, they all fall down on him, and he's buried underneath it. That's one bit that's weird, right? Because the movie starts off with like Shredder's hand coming out of the rubble and being like, "Rrr," so he's still alive at the start of the movie. But none of the turtles see that happen. And then at the end of this movie, the hand comes out like this, and they're all like, "Not again!" And they're like, "You didn't see that! Only we saw that." But then the hand goes,
I don't think 7-year-old Heidi noticed that beautiful circular narrative, and I appreciate that. That's really good. Although what I do remember really having an issue with my entire life was how when they're not knowing what to do and he's about to bring down the whole place, whichever one of them says something like, is it like, he basically uses a riddle to say, "We're turtles, what should we do?" or something, and then they jump in the water?
Yes.
Yeah. They'll swim for it or something.
Just say, "Quick, get in, follow me," or something. Yeah. Am I remembering that?
They work out they can protect themselves in their shells, basically, at the end.
Well, no, it's just the way they all go like, "We're turtles, what do we do?" And he's like,
yeah.
Just
tell me.
It's
like everything's falling on them, and it was not realistic to a crisis, is what I'm saying.
No, it's I would love for you to watch it again, though. If you ever just...
I think I've upset you with this choice.
No.
I feel like I see genuine sadness.
No. I'm genuinely happy I got to watch it again.
To be fair...
I wasn't going to watch it because Dave told me it didn't stand up, and now I'm like, it did. I like it.
It was better today than it was when I watched it earlier in the year.
Okay, yeah.
I appreciate the first half a lot more. It's when they get to the nightclub that really...
Which is my favourite memory from the whole thing. Yeah.
I mean, that was a different time.
I'm pretty sure me and my friend danced to that at my wedding. We were just like, let's do the ninja rap.
Because MC Hammer was the first one, wasn't it? That was the turtle.
Yeah,
power.
MC Hammer's the first movie, yeah. And then Vanilla Ice was this one.
What was MC Hammer's
I don't know if
song in the
it wasn't it called like Turtle Power?
Yeah, Turtle Power.
Oh, that song. Yeah.
And then the second one, it's Go Turtles, Go Turtles. Go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible song, and Vanilla Ice was a terrible.
A lot of people say he's a one-hit wonder, but this proves that that's not true.
Exactly. Yeah. He just needed the right inspiration.
4 dancing turtles.
The 4 humours.
It's bad. Well, thank you for bringing that back into our lives. I think Rich was actually happy to watch it.
I was, yeah. I actually, like I say, I enjoyed it.
Did you watch it with your son, Rich?
No, I didn't. Because I was trying to.
You're not allowed.
He was at school. Strictly speaking, I was working. I was just kind of put it on and yeah, sort of watched it whilst I was working, thinking, I'll be fine. And it was like, they ended up watching it and being like, I quite enjoyed it. I really did.
I'm sure it holds up better than the Michael Bay one. That's all I'll say.
Everything holds up better than Michael Bay.
What is your most disappointing sequel? So it doesn't have to be a bad film. It doesn't have to be a bad sequel. It's the one that you went in high and came out low in. So you're really excited for it. You're like,
yeah, I will say the latest Matrix was pretty.
That is a good choice.
The correct answer.
Disappointing. Yeah.
It's the correct answer. Does that mean you're a fan of all the Matrix films, or?
Well, I am. Like, I know that people really slated 2 and 3, but I remember seeing number 2 and going, that was amazing. Like, thinking it was a brilliant film. I didn't really watch it again many times, but
okay.
And then number 3, I was like very confused by all the architect stuff and that. And I have now, last year I did an entire Edinburgh show about a conspiracy theory with The Matrix. So I've watched The Matrix 1 1,000 times now as research for that, and it holds up to many, many, many viewings.
Good.
So, whereas number 4, not so much.
So you were going in excited for the fourth one.
I was pretty unsure how they were going to pull it off, but I was like, it'll be nice to see. And I see what they were trying to do. It was just, I watched on my own and I was like reading my phone and just bored and
What were they trying to do? Because I still can't work it out in my head.
Well, they would try like I said, I was on my phone a lot, but I think I watched in the pandemic, like in not a lockdown, but something like that. But I remember they had a whole thing with the therapist that felt like it was a commentary on like Twitter likes or something, or retweets, or how you feel when you go online, basically. It felt like the whole thing had a lot to do with that, and I'm sure was inspired by the horrors that the directors have had to face online.
Yeah.
Which is why it made it even sadder that I was like, I'm just not, the rest of this is really confusing. And
I think it's okay to not like it, but still like them. I think that's okay.
Yes.
Like Sense8, beautiful bit of well, I was going to say filmmaking, but TV making. Love that program. I can't stand the fourth Matrix movie. I think it's horrible. I think I gave it 0 stars when we rated it.
It's the angriest I've ever seen you.
Yeah.
I had a really bad back as well, so I really resented having to sit in the cinema seat and watch that.
That's why no one should make 3-hour film, all these 3-hour films, because no one's back is going to last through most of that these days. But
and all the good bits were in the trailer, and I was just like, no. What, this is everything that's wrong with sequels.
Yeah, and you could see they were trying real, and like I think Keanu Reeves sounds like he's the nicest man in the world. So you're like, everyone was really trying their best. Just didn't. It felt like maybe that thing that I'm very guilty of like putting too many ideas into one thing. I think maybe.
I think that 2 and 3 would also go under that banner of trying to say too much with films. Which might not have to be said. I don't know. But I bought into The Matrix. There's a story good when I tell a lot on this podcast that I dragged a lot of people to go and see the second Matrix at a midnight screening, and it was awful, and everyone hated me for it for a while. And I get excited for sequels a lot. Well, that's why we did the podcast. So I was like, this is Keanu Reeves is back, Carrie-Anne Moss is back. Got one of the directors of the original is coming back. It's going to special effects are much better now than they are in 1999. It's going to be brilliant. And then I watched it. I was like, this is dross. It's trying to be all very meta and very clever again. And the CGI is bad and the action's bad again. And there's nothing noticeable about. I'm trying to think about it now, and I can't tell you any of the scenes.
Yeah, I think all I remember is a scene where the therapist Neil Patrick Harris like froze time or something and talked to him in his mind or something like that.
That's because he turns out to be Agent Smith, doesn't it? I couldn't even
tell you at the end if the Matrix
or Jonathan
was...
Groff.
if it was all in the Matrix or not. I got so confused.
I just remember there's a bit where Neo and Trinity jump off a building, and I was like, they do this whole big thing where they're holding hands and should they jump? And I'm like, this is all in the trailer. We know you jump. We know you don't die. We've seen it all happen in the trailer. You've ruined it.
God. Do you guys have a definitive, as in you will have covered already, but like the most disappointing sequel that you guys...
Matrix comes up a lot.
Yeah, Matrix for me it's Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah.
Just because I was on such a high going into a midnight screening of it and coming out and just,
Lots of Star Wars ones come up a lot as well. They come up in disappointing quite a lot.
And I assume Empire Strikes Back comes up as one of the best sequels of it.
Not as much as you think.
It took a while.
Yeah, recently
I assumed it would have been covered a lot.
For a while, lots of people, we didn't have Godfather Part 2 didn't come up for like 4 seasons, and Empire has only just come up this season, the first twice.
People thought it would be too obvious.
I think so, yeah.
Godfather 2 and Toy Story 2.
We did have a guest who picked Michael Marden. He picked Young Guns 2. And then when we told him no one had picked Empire, he was like, "Why? Why have I picked this?"
Yeah. Oh, I vaguely remember Young Guns and Young Guns 2, but
they're all right.
Not enough to.
I enjoyed them. It's fine.
They're all right.
As we're on to a downer, what is your worst ever sequel?
Okay, so
strap in.
What I would actually say...
There's a caveat coming, isn't there?
Well, basically I said to you, so I now realise you will have had to watch it, even though I don't remember the details now, but I said Jaws 2 to stand for all the shark films after Jaws.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of like I was struggling what to pick, and then I thought I will pick the thing that was so it impacted my life greatly, and I watched all the shark films, and I made my debut stand-up show in Edinburgh was about watching bad shark films.
Wow.
So Jaws spawned all these, but if I was then within those to actually pick, I had basically my whole debut show was my film theory about shark films, and it's that the cynicism of bad shark films that came along, and that in my head was epitomized by Sharknado 2 onwards. You could align that with political cynicism throughout the years. Because I lined up like Sharknado 4 with Brexit, and Trump was going to be in Sharknado 5 but to play a president, but they had to bow out because he ran for president and things like that. But it all started with Jaws 2, and then but Jaws 2, to be honest, like in my show, I was like, in the 80s, people were still trying to make good shark films, and the 90s, and it was from 2008 onwards, they then realised that everyone was laughing at the shark films, so they started making them bad on purpose. Sharktopus is where it all...
I've never seen Sharktopus, but that sounds
you
bad.
Mustn't.
Is there like three-headed sharks, and then they've up to
three-headed shark was well into the
Is this-
cynicism. Yes, there's a five-headed shark. I've lost track now because we did stop watching them, but I had watched about 20 of them at one point with my friends.
Wow. So this is something's happened here, which doesn't happen very often in the podcast, but I love it when it does, is that someone has picked Jaws 2 as their best sequel. So I really like it when there's someone who picks their best and it's their worst at the same time. It's great.
And someone's also picked Jaws 3 and Jaws 3 as worst and best as well. So lucky for you, we've watched all of these films. Well, all the Jaws films.
We've watched all of them.
Wow. Can you remind me? Jaws 2 is probably the one I've seen the least. So can you remind me what the plot of Jaws 2 is?
Yes,
so
there's another shark.
I mean, it's pretty similar to Jaws, right?
Is it related to the first shark?
I hope not.
It's not the one. Jaws 4 is the classic with Michael Caine,
mother who takes it.
Yeah.
She will get revenge, yes. And has a psychiatric link to Lorraine Gray's mother as well. Madness. 2 is basically there is another big shark. But you're also dealing with Brody's PTSD of going back into the water and dealing with the shark and stuff like that. And his sons are involved. They've gone out to
on a sailing sailing competition thing, or like one of them's sailing with his friends.
And then they take the brother with them for a laugh.
That's the main scene I remember.
So
that's the
in
end,
the first Jaws, they blow him up, the shark. 2, they electrocute him. 3, they also blow it up. But
how did they electrocute him into?
Oh, this is cracking. So Sheriff Brody kind of finds an underwater cable and hooks it up. And as the shark goes to bite him, he holds up the cable and the shark bites the cable.
That is science. Yeah. That works. That makes sense to me.
And then the shark melts, kind of.
Yeah, it's sort of. Yeah.
I'm really sorry that I've picked a film where I'm going, and what else happens in the film? But maybe listeners will also not have a good memory of it.
Well, I think the problem is that Jaws is so fucking good. The first one.
It's like one of the best films ever made.
One of the best films ever.
Everything afterwards just was awkward. But it's insane that there's been almost no good shark films since, and there's been so many shark films.
A lot of shark films. I'm trying to think of a good shark film. Then Deep Blue Sea is quite fun.
I thought you'd say that, but like you can't actually call it a good
rubbish,
film
though.
when you watch it. You can just call it a good, bad shark film.
Yes, Thomas Jane's good in there.
I was thinking like the Meg.
That's not a good film either.
They're not good. They're fun, but they're not good.
The Meg 2 is bad, not fun, bad. And I saw that in 5D with water spraying me and the seat rocking, and even that couldn't save it. So
why would you do that?
It was in Edinburgh last year or the year before, last year, and we went for it was the funnest thing. When you go crazy at the Fringe, like anything non-comedy related is nice. So it was a lovely break, but terrible film. But yeah.
It was last year, wasn't it? We reviewed it, didn't we? And
you got angry about the science, Rich. You went off on one about the science and the
probably. That sounds like me.
Because there was so much, just the fact that it was all at the bottom of the sea was bad. Felt like bad science, and also it was so dark you couldn't see anything. Was that the science?
And Jason Statham kicks a shark.
Yeah, it's the pressure. He should have been crushed.
Oh yeah, that was it. I remember. Jason Statham's brain should be scrambled by the pressure of the sea.
You always say that. But yeah, Jaws 2, probably in the pantheon of shark, but Jaws, it then led to Jaws 3, which was terrible, and then Jaws 4, where they stabbed the shark with the stick on the
plane.
Oh, was it plane? Not the stick on the end of the boat?
Oh, yes, the boat. Sorry, the shark eats the plane. Yeah. I don't think the shark blew up, did it? I think Michael Caine, and then Michael Caine bought a house with all the money.
Oh, yeah. Is that like a quote he has, or is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best quote. It's like someone asking him, have you seen Jaws 4? And he's like, no, but I've seen the house it paid for.
That's amazing. I'm just looking up whether he does blow up, because I'm sure something crazy happened.
Probably. The whole film is mad, the fourth one. I don't think it's the worst. I think 3 is the worst one. I really do. 3 is the one with the giant mother in the aquarium, SeaWorld. Yeah. And very. And I forgot that Jaws 4, and when she's about to kill him, she has a flashback to her husband killing the first one, even though she wasn't there. Yes.
The shark 100% does blow up.
It does. I've just watched
a picture of the end.
It's just been harpooned. And it's roaring.
And it immediately explodes.
And I think it's about to explode. I feel like it is. My friend that I watched all the shark films with, he works as a AD. Oh, it hasn't blown up at this point. I
love that you're watching it while we're talking. It's great.
Maybe that's the original, because apparently the original ending, the shark doesn't blow up.
Yeah, maybe they took it out.
And then they did reshoots of it exploding because audiences didn't like that it didn't explode.
They didn't believe that it wouldn't explode.
Because you're Australian, and sharks are a big thing in Australia, right? Do you feel sorry for sharks then? That they got a bad rap?
Oh, I think that the writer of Jaws is correct to feel guilty for what he did to the sharks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure someone else would have done it. And so, yeah, I do think it's not fair. And I'm not generally scared of them. And I lived in a beach town, and the only time I ever thought about sharks was when I'd been watching a lot of shark films in a row one day, and then I went for a swim in the middle of the ocean. I was like, you just can't watch that many shark scenes and not picture something coming to this. But yeah, I do. But my wife is English, and when she came out to Australia with me for the first time, she went to do a surfing lesson in my hometown, Newcastle, and she was like, "Oh, I'm scared of sharks." And I went, I grew up here. I never saw a shark while I was out swimming ever. Like, they are around, but never in my life. You do not need to worry. I was very patronizing. And then they went for their surf lesson, and a pod of dolphins showed up, and then one of the fins was very triangular and moving differently to the others, and they were going, "Is that weird?" And the surfing instructor was like, "It's fine, get in the water." And they kind of went up to their thighs and watched this one thing that like sent the other dolphins off. Eventually my friend went to my wife, "I think we should get out." And then they said to the instructor, "We think that was a shark." And she was like, "Yeah, I just didn't want to worry anyone." So my wife was like, "You said there'd be no sharks." And I immediately had a shark.
Wow.
So yeah, but it didn't attack her. So
Oh, good.
So they are harmless.
What gets me about sharks and how sharks are portrayed and how people think about sharks is that you wouldn't wander into a pride of lions and expect to come out okay. Like, what? Sharks are easily avoidable. Just don't go where they live.
Yeah,
Like,
but we want to go ride a surfboard. So also the way you said that sounded
fair.
like you were doing a homage to that old DVD advert of "You wouldn't steal a car." You wouldn't wander into a pride of lions.
But then they made Lion King, and that's all fine.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think
My
I would
son's
be much
obsessed
more
with sharks.
scared of lions. Yeah, actually, I will show you my one other decoration in this house. Is that shark head hanging on the wall.
Oh,
What happens to the rest of it?
Well, I was the victim. Also, that was great for an audio podcast. It's a stuffed shark head on my wall for anyone, if this makes the edit.
Everything makes the edit.
My son's favourite shark fact is that you're 3,000 times more likely to drown in shark-infested waters than get eaten by a shark.
That's a good fact. That's someone who's working hard at not being scared. So...
That's autism for you.
But it's
he loves those facts.
I did a gig last week, and the friend that I watched all these shark films with from Australia, he was over visiting for the first time in like 10 years. When he came into the gig with me, and Sarah Barron was there with her husband Jeff and son, and Sarah and Jeff just went to their son, "Heidi knows some marine facts," because they'd seen my shark show. And I went, "Oh, you mean about sharks?" And they were like, "Yes, he's into sharks." And I went, "Well, this is the friend that was on he worked on the film Baked, which was very...
Oh, yes.
It was actually that was a fun one, set in a supermarket that gets flooded and there's a shark.
Yep.
So
I've seen that one.
Has one of the best shark film deaths, where a guy's going across a wire, hanging by his arms, and the shark jumps up from the water and just bites up to his torso, and he's left hanging there. Beautiful shot.
That's a good one. I'm actually terrified of sharks. So
this has been quite.
And that is mainly mainly is because I watched Jaws when I really shouldn't have done. My grandparents babysat for me one night. I'm very young, and they said, "What you want to watch?" And I was like, "Mum said I could watch Jaws. It's fine." And they're like, "Did they really?" I was like, yeah, it's fine. And I spent most of it behind the sofa. And the bit when Quint gets chopped in half and the blood comes out of his mouth, nightmares for years. Yeah. That was it.
Oh God, I haven't thought about that scene. That is so bad. It's just weird to have these films that are then going to ruin your life.
Yeah, because the 2, 3, and 4 are not scary Jaws films. There's nothing in them that terrify you as much as the first one. And the music's not as good either. The use of the especially in the third one. I don't even think they use this at all. It's hilarious how they blow up that shark in the end. And they try and make it 3D at the same point. It's
Oh, God, I forgot about the 3D.
You got to put a 3D element into it.
Oh, my God.
I've got another little question for you before the Dream sequel one, which is, what sequel seemed like a bad idea, but you ended up liking?
Oh, God.
Normally, at this point, we would go straight to a Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Or a Mission Impossible or something like that.
Jeez. I'm really drawing a
Bond.
A blank here. Yeah, Bond number 3.
Goldfinger. I don't know. Which one was that?
Oh, man.
Indiana Jones's. Aliens. Predators.
These are all kind of the classic action ones that I just don't have emotions. I mean, I love Indiana Jones 3, so maybe that would have been a bad idea at the time. But was it? I feel like they were just smashing it with those.
No, because they were all good at that point.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
I've got an answer. Actually, it's a really good answer. So, in your face.
Oh.
Yeah. You can't get me. Toy Story 4. I thought that was going to be like stretching it out, total cash in. And we went to the cinema to see it, even though I was like, what am I doing? I'm going to be so disappointed. And I thought it was really, really good. And it's not that shocking because it's a Pixar, but you'd think they would have more misses than they do. And, I just thought it was brilliant. Yeah.
What made you think it was brilliant?
I think that genuinely it was the gag rate, which I am just, most of my favourite films are ones where I'm just so, like my favourite films of all time are Anchorman and Airplane and stuff like that, where I'm just like, that gag rate's phenomenal. And
Airplane hits a lot.
Oh, Airplane 2 I should have picked as my most upsetting sequel.
Disappointing.
Yeah. So sad.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
You do not see it. I don't know who's involved. I'm sure it must have been someone different involved because it's just so much worse. But yeah, I think the gag rate was amazing, and then also that they found a way to still have a beautiful, I think I got very emotional in it because it's basically like number 3 was about having your kids move out of home metaphorically and retiring. Oh, this one is like retiring, isn't it? It's like he goes off.
Yeah, they go their separate ways.
Yeah, and it was very emotional. And there's so much, you feel death so much in all these Toy Story films, and they managed to do it in a fun way. But yeah, I thought it was brilliant, but I didn't think it was going to be.
Wow, that is a good one. We haven't had that one on this, because a lot of people have talked about Toy Story 2 and 3, and a lot of people ignore the 4th one, to be honest.
Is that like, are people not a fan of the 4th one?
I don't want to break it to you, but yes, that seems to be a way.
I think the 4th one is fine. I don't think it's...
damn me with your faint praise.
Yeah, I was like, Rich, you're not selling it.
No, I mean, I don't think... I think Toy Story 3 is up here, and Toy Story 4 is a bit down from there. But I don't think it's like... A lot of people really hate on it, and I don't think it's worthy of hate. I think it's just like... not quite as good as 3.
Yeah, but
I don't want Buzz and Woody not to be together.
You were expecting it to be bad, and it was.
Oh, absolutely.
Technically, I've answered your question.
Oh no, it's a brilliant answer.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, you are right. 100%.
Oh, we're talking about the film, not just my answer.
I remember watching it and coming out. Oh, my whole problem is that I want Buzz and Woody to be together forever, and
like sexually.
If that's the way, fine.
Yeah. It's the only way.
Yeah. And when they made them go the separate way at the end of that, I was furious.
Yeah, that was sad. And she was a real Yoko Ono, wasn't she?
What, Bo Peep?
Bo Peep. And by that I mean a very accomplished artist in her own right that then suffered by people wanting the bromance to go on. But,
yeah, Dave.
Yeah. Stop
I like Yoko Ono.
I literally just thought of that because we just went to her exhibition at the Tate.
Oh, how was it?
It's amazing. I didn't know much about her art, and my friend got us free tickets, and we were like, oh, wow, these are like she was a real trailblazer. And then someone who like knows all that art said to me she gave up a huge career to then be demonized by the world. The two dreams, giving up your career and being demonized.
I watched that Get Back documentary, and she is there a lot. But then I listened to the Bare Naked Ladies do a song about it. Have you heard that?
No.
And it's brilliant. It's basically like if I had a woman like Yoko, I would let her do what she wants, kind of thing, because she's great and whatever. It's a great song. And I'm like, yeah, that is unfair on Yoko Ono, to be honest. And then once you start looking, like, she also had quite a good career, and then she gave it up just to make tea for what's his face. Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to give up your career for a man, I guess you'd be tempted by dating the most like successful and famous seminal pop star of all time.
Yeah.
I know now we know he was not a great partner, but at the time, how did she know that? She wasn't?
It was the 60s and 70s.
It was the 60s.
Right? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's fine.
When you saw did you watch Toy Story 4 in the cinema? Were you that?
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it except some friends organised a trip, and I was just like, I'm going for the friendship. But then I think I had such low expectations. I was like, I'm just here for the friendship. I love Pixar, and I think they are, like, I listened to a screenwriting podcast by the lady that wrote Inside Out 2 and some part of Inside Out 1. So I listened to hours of Pixar storytelling theory.
Yeah.
So that may have also... And the guy that wrote Toy Story 3, who wrote Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, wow.
He has some very amazing YouTube videos about story structure based on Toy Story 3 and that. For all the nerds in your audience.
Oh, we got loads of them.
Oh, that's everyone.
Yeah. What did you think of Inside Out 2? Did you go in there into that one?
So that
wary?
Oh yeah, that was my other choice for best sequel, and but I did literally just say it on Monday. But I thought again that was one where I was like, oh, how will they manage to make it still relevant and that? And I thought it was brilliant, and also it has it's not a spot. Everyone knows it's about anxiety is the new emotion. Have you guys seen it?
Yes, yeah, we both.
Yeah,
we reviewed it.
You've reviewed it, yeah.
Well, it's coming out. It's coming out tomorrow. The review.
Oh, good.
I was like, what day is it
So
today?
recorded. This will come out in different orders.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to say it in a spoiler way, but I just thought near the end, the very cinematic scene with anxiety. With all the orange, was like
we all did this.
So emotional. Yeah. I thought that was like just one of the most cinematic portrayals of an emotion I've seen in a while. Possibly because we were like I listened to that podcast so much, but I know and we've been talking about like anxiety a lot at home. Like I saw it with my wife, and she was crying, going, "That's like realistic." And
I was close. I was actually quite close to tears in that, but it's just the bit where she's, I can't stop, and that's really kind of like got me.
I think it's so odd, and I've already used it when we were going through a tough thing. A few days later, I pictured that anxiety thing, thinking that's what's happening in our brains right now. Like, so I think I think it'll hit adults more than kids, as always, but.
I think that's what me and Rich were saying. We're not quite sure what age it's kind of aimed at. Like the screening I went to was packed out with adults. Like there was no kids inside.
Yeah.
The one I went to was loads of little kids though. So I was like, I don't think it's for you. I think it's for slightly older kids.
Yeah. Right. My friend's son just saw it, who is just turned 12. And he really liked it, and also was apparently quoting it a few days later saying, "Oh, I don't have my beliefs yet. I'm not 13." so he's taking it as science, and I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice.
So what was your pick for Dream sequel?
My pick is, again, I said 2, but for the same reasons, I would say. So mainly the film 2 weeks' notice with Hugh Grant and Sandra Bullock. Have you guys seen that one?
I went to the cinema and saw that in 2002, so
I've never seen it. And I didn't get a chance to
I
watch
can't
it.
believe
I'm
you
really
didn't
sorry.
get a chance to watch all the several selections I sent a day ago. You don't need to have. I will and I'm sure a lot of your listeners won't. It's a great rom-com. I loved Hugh Grant rom-coms and heavily influenced by them coming over here, even though I am married to a woman. He's on my, what's the list? Hall pass thing. Not younger Hugh Grant. Now I want to be his best friend, even though I know he wouldn't want to talk to me and he's very grumpy man, but I think he's very funny. So it's a great, and I think it's him at his best, rom-com wise, and Sandra Bullock at her best. And then there's a director's commentary that I watched on the DVD many times that is hilarious because he's not slept. He's just been at the Golden Globes or something, and it's him hungover and Sandra Bullock mocking him and the director.
Oh, I've got to listen to that.
It's so good. And you can just tell they all find each other genuinely hilarious. So they're all the reasons I like the film. And then I picked it as a sequel because I think Hugh Grant is done with rom-coms, but he's very political now. And the plot of it is that Sandra Bullock is a left-wing do-gooder lawyer who works for a selfish billionaire, son of a heir to a billionaire or whatever, Hugh Grant. So he's charming but stupid and selfish and lazy. And then they fall in love and she teaches her to want to be a better man. So I think now with the current climate, that was 2002. I didn't realize it was that old. So if they filmed it now with Hugh Grant having input on the script and showing what's the life like of I think they could do such a dark, like I've always wanted a rom-com to be done of like actual realistic billionaire issues rather than isn't he charming, but make it more like he made his wealth like a dragon and the world is dying because of him. That's my choice.
I'd watch that.
I like that.
Would you
watch that.
Would you get Donald Trump to do a cameo again?
I don't want him to get any more publicity, even if it's done ironically. But okay, he can be in it. But no, I think that would be, and also they'd make it. I think they could genuinely make art if they were given free rein with that, because it was a good film.
I like it.
Yes,
I like it.
So in 2002, when you saw it, were you in Australia at that point?
Yes, yeah. And I used to watch the DVD, like I watched it many times, I think, because it's hard to get a good rom-com.
Oh, they are hard.
Yeah.
To make.
Yeah.
But when you get a good rom-com, they're so good, though, right? Like, I'm such a big fan of a good rom-com.
Oh, yes. And Hugh Grant has done his fair share.
I know I haven't watched this, but I am going to go and watch it after.
Yeah, I'm
we've done the pod.
Sorry for
so I'm definitely going to watch it.
You'll love it, Rich, because one of Rich's favourite bands is Counting Crows. And they did Big Yellow Taxi was for 2 weeks' notice.
Is that for this?
They also have a cameo of Nora Jones at a party.
Nora Jones is in this.
Wait, did you say Counting Crows? They recorded that for this?
Yeah, it was a music video for 2 weeks' notice.
That's crazy. And Sandra Bullock, she knows what she's doing with rom-coms.
She's excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently her and Hugh Grant really liked each other, and then they were like, they're really good friends in real life. And Hugh Grant said she's the best person to work with that he's worked with.
Yeah.
So I don't think a sequel, if you would propose it to them, I think we could get it made.
Okay, I will look into that. I think that would he'd be up with that, getting a text about that. And I think I do think they should do it.
The director also wrote like Miss Congeniality and those other kind of forces of nature. Quite works with Sandra Bullock quite a lot by the looks of it. Yeah,
I was literally about to say, Sandra Bullock, Miss Congeniality, and one I can't remember if I think Miss Congeniality 2 stands all right as a sequel, possibly.
I haven't never seen it yet.
You've not covered that.
It's good.
No,
Dave.
no one's picked C2.
Yeah.
MS.
It's Miss Congeniality 2, Armed and Fabulous.
Lovely stuff.
No.
I think Miss Congeniality gets mentioned in a lot of screenwriting books. And I just think 2 Weeks' Notice should get its due. But yeah, it has a brilliant scene. Do you remember the scene at the end, Dave? Oh, you won't if you haven't seen it since 2002.
I don't know. I was surprised when I found out it was 2002 today. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember going to the cinema because there was nothing else on that week. And it was I looked up when it came out. It was February here. It was like 20, I think it was 1st of January in Australia. So, and then, or Christmas Day or something as well somewhere else. But I have quite good memories for it, so go for it.
Basically, the final, as the credits are rolling, and it's very good structure because it's her ordering takeaway, but you've seen earlier in the film she orders takeaway on her own, and now she's ordering her same lots of takeaway, but for two. But in the background, I think they said Hugh Grant improvised it. He's just walking in the background because he's a billionaire. He's measuring how small the apartment is by how many steps he takes, and he's just doing it in a very like inquisitive English, going like, "This is four strides across, blah blah blah," and it's very funny. Was it a good film?
It's a good film. Were you a bit disappointed when you came to London after you watched Four Weddings and Notting Hill?
Genuinely, it surprised me, the difference.
Yeah.
But all I knew went off with London was Richard Curtis films, but also The Bill was massive in Australia when I was a kid. So I did know that side of, like, I did think that was either all those famous estate names in The Bill.
Sun Hill.
But yeah. But so I did think that, but by the time I was a grown up and coming over here, I was like, Notting Hill is like that. And then you get here and you're like, I didn't even understand that was all, like, their accents were middle class and all that kind of stuff. You just thought everyone sounded like that. And,
my wife's from Canada.
Canada.
And very similar. Very similar. For some reason, Harry Potter's as well. She all thought we like that, and the Love Actuallys, and it's just
love it. Yeah, Richard Curtis should be. I assume he already has a knighthood, but he should be given money by the government for the amount of tourism he probably has generated.
Yeah, and how everyone lives in nice flats and houses in close to central London and stuff. And
works in like shops. You live in a flat in Notting Hill and work in a clothes shop. I'm like, yeah, all right.
It's a bookstore, mate, in Notting Hill.
Yeah.
It's a bookshop,
with
is it?
Dylan
Whatever.
Moran
Yeah.
as the drunk guy.
Yeah. To be fair, they're all great. Have you watched Rye Lane yet?
Yes, that is lovely. Yeah. And
that's more. London, I know.
That felt more like actual realistic. Yeah, and also Richard Curtis he did About Time. Mm-hmm. And he did the Beatles film, but that's his
Yesterday.
Yeah,
he just did a film at Christmas called Genie. With Melissa McCarthy, and it was straight to, and it's an old thing he did with Lenny Henry and Rowan Atkinson. What's it called on BBC? Bernard and the Genie or something?
Yeah, Bernard and Genie. Yeah,
he's done a remake of that.
Has that come out already?
Yeah, it's on Sky Cinema or Now TV or whatever.
Oh right, is it? And have you seen it, or is it? Do you know if it's good?
It's cute. It's Richard Curtis, Melissa McCarthy's. She's fun.
Yeah. That just made me think Bridesmaids 2 would be a good...
That would be
I'm sure you've had someone say that one.
Yeah. We've had people from
But also, I would be worried how it... Yeah.
Well, who would you... Is there a director you would like to have, like, direct these rom-com sequels, or in your head, or...
Well, I know that rom-com directors are not really seen as important.
Oof.
Because whereas... like in terms of comedy directing film wise and that, but then when you look at what Edgar Wright was able to do as a director with comedy and with like Shaun of the Dead and that, you're like, it would be great if there was more focus on the director for these things. And I'm not saying that the way they film them is bad, but when you just think of all the noughties rom-coms, you didn't really care who the director was, and it was all they all look the same. But it is great when they can. Who directed like Palm Springs and stuff? Because that actually looked.
Rich is our man.
Oh, I've got that in my head. I don't know. I can't remember. It will come back in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I can't think.
Is that your kind of rom-com, like with that time travel mix, something a bit different with it?
Well, I immediately just saw Groundhog Day as well, obviously. And I was like, bring back Harold Ramis from the dead and have him direct. But yeah, I don't really know who I'd have direct them, because Edgar Wright in his Shaun of the Dead vibe.
That'd be fun.
Those were Heidi Regan's Unequal Sequels. Always nice to talk Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I would say.
God. God.
I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze before we recorded this podcast, because David told me how bad it was.
It is bad.
And I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was bad at all. And neither did Heidi, because it's her best sequel. So, you know.
I love it when people pick bad sequels as their good sequels because of what it means to them and when they've seen it. I've got no problem with that. It's one of my favourite things, and other people have done it on this podcast, like Jamie East with Jaws 3 and stuff like that. There's no problem with that. But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a bad film. Especially the last 20 minutes.
I'm presuming you mean the sequel, not the first one.
Oh, yeah, the Secret of the Ooze. The first one I
don't
like.
think it's that bad. I had fun with it. I enjoyed watching it. I was having fun.
I love that someone picked it. I loved it. I've now watched that twice this year. That's enough for me for a while, I believe. But Turtles are cool. And I love that we can call them Ninja Turtles. Is in the UK we had to call them Hero Turtles?
We did, yeah.
Was that for the film and the TV series?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. I was only a kid.
It was a long time ago. But ninjas are cool, guys.
Yeah. Ninjas are cool.
And I wanted to be a turtle and live with the turtles down in the sewer for quite a lot of my life, it seems, until someone pointed out that's disgusting and it's not quite as glamorous as they make it seem.
Definitely
in
isn't.
Turtles. No.
And worst sequel, Jaws 2, has previously been a best sequel.
Yeah, well, her worst sequels, she's basically gave us a genre, didn't she?
Yeah, it's sort of every shark movie after Jaws, which I think is pretty fair.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a lot of those bad, like Seven-Headed Shark or Sharktopus versus Mega something or other.
Sharknado 15.
Sharknado 15 or...
Sharkosaurus.
Ghost Shark 2 and stuff like that. I mean, sharks have had a short end of the straw for a while. So that made me laugh a lot, and she's funny. Dream sequel, 2 Weeks Notice. Have you watched this yet?
Do you know what? I have watched it. Yes. I have watched it. It's fine. And it does have Counting Crows in the soundtrack.
Yeah, so, I was right?
Yeah, you were right, yeah.
Yeah, I thought. And Hugh Grant's great with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
I never thought, again, this season with people picking sequels that I wouldn't really thought about a lot. Like, you know, The Breakfast Club or Taxi Driver or Jerry Maguire. It's a surprise. And 2 Weeks Notice is, like Rich said, fine. But I loved that. Heidi loved it. And that's all right for me.
And I mean, normally we would definitely watch all them. We'd make sure we watched all the movies that a guest picked. But there was just no time. It wasn't possible. Because we only knew that was Heidi's pick literally just before we recorded.
Yes. She did apologise for that. And she asked a lot of questions about which one she'd pick. And we had a great time talking to her. She is hilarious and funny. And I love that she doesn't like her action films. Stuff like that. She, if you like Heidi, do go check out her comedy. She is touring. She is doing a few shows at the Edinburgh Fringe, probably while we're talking. She's not doing the full run. And if you want to hear about her experiences and her thoughts on the Edinburgh Fringe, go listen to Another Slice, because we talk about it a lot. And it just sounds brilliant and awful at the same time, and stressful to do a show. But she's doing a few shows up there this year. If you like Heidi even more, go check out There Will Be Film. She's on a film podcast with Stuart Laws and Nathan Darcy Roberts. It's a great film podcast. It's a very silly, very funny comedian / film based. They have amazing people come on. Their friends are a comedian. They just have a laugh about films and stuff. So that's really fun. But go check out Heidi. She is hilarious and she loves films. So we're big fans.
And do you know what?
What?
So if you want more hilarious people that love films, you should probably go back and listen to all our back episodes. So if you're tuning in because you're a big Heidi fan, and why wouldn't you be, because she's amazing, then there are loads of other funny people that love movies. Yeah, this is almost the end of season 6. We've only got one more episode to go. So, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and that one will drop into your pod player of choice when it's released next week. While you're there, if you really like this and you want to hear more from Heidi, then there are the sequel sessions over on anotherslice.com/unequal sequel, where you can join our subscription service for just $2.99 a month, which will get you a minimum of 3 extra podcasts a month. Loads of sequel sessions from all our interview episodes all the way back to season 4, but also Box Set Mentality and Disenfranchised. So go back and give those a listen. They are brilliant bits of podcastiness. Also, if you wouldn't mind spreading the word on social media, tell your friends, tell everyone you know, tell your nan, tell your cat, tell everyone, spread the word. We are at Unequal Sequel on all of those social medias, or just type Unequal Sequel into the search bar. You'll find us. If you don't do social media and want to get in touch, tell us what you thought about Heidi's picks. Tell us what you thought about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. Did you hate it like Dave? Did you think it was quite fun like me? Let us know. Drop us an email, unequalsequel@hotmail.com, and we'll read out all of your messages in our end of month roundup. Funnily enough, at the end of the month.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Rich. Thank you very much for listening and supporting the podcast and sending all your thoughts and your love in. We really appreciate that. Make some noise, tell other people about us, because that will really help us with the algorithm, whatever that is, and that will be nice.
I think since we panned Space Jam 2: A New Legacy, Algae Rhythm hates us.
It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. Next week is the final episode of season 6.
Whoa.
Wow. Take that in.
I remember we were like way back trying to plan season 6 and getting panicky that we didn't have enough guests, and now we've done it and we're going straight into recording season 7.
Yes. Well, by the time you've
Crazy.
heard that episode, hopefully we have started season 7. Thank you everyone for supporting us. I've got nothing to say, so it's bye-bye from me, and it's a bye-bye from him.
Bye!
See you on the next one, sequel to this one. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
I think I'm losing my mind.
And I'm reaping all the benefits. Okay, here we go. I've been told to make a trailer, and they said to make it impactful and memorable. So here we go. My name is Dave Curtis, and I will guarantee you probably haven't heard of me, but I host a podcast called Unequal Sequel, and I love movies. Well, this is a new podcast. If you can do something, it's better to do something impossible, because it feels good. Well, I've set myself a mission impossible. You'll see why that's clever in a minute. You may not know it, but Tom Cruise sends loads of people a cake at Christmas. I have set myself a quest to get Tom Cruise to send me that cake. How, you're asking? How, Dave? How is that going to happen? Well, you have to listen to the podcast and find out. That's literally what the podcast is about. It's about Tom Cruise, his career, and me getting the cake from Tom Cruise. Sounds fun, doesn't it? How about you listen along? It's called The Great Tom Cruise Cake Quest. And it will be available wherever you get your podcasts. I don't know about you, but I think I nailed that.